Welcome to another edition of Living the Run, where we ask you to thrive, folks, 365. Commit to living each and every single day by having a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing. We're talking lifestyle change on this show, folks. Lifestyle changes that look to maximize your human potential, get you out of some of the ruts that you might be in, and get you to thriving on a daily basis. A couple of great guests tonight on tonight's show, and if you're hearing us for the first time on a Friday, that's because it is our first time on a Friday in a few years. Each and every week we meet on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, running from 6 to 7 o'clock. But this week, due to some Dodger baseball and a couple other conflicts, we're here on a Friday evening joining you to round out another great week. Man, excited about tonight's show. I'm your host, Rex Stevens. Olympian Paul Tera out tonight. But we've got a couple of great guests this week. I tell you, this is a weekend where the granddaddy of them all when it comes to ultra running and ultra racing, the Western States 100, is this weekend. If you haven't heard about this race, what an epic, epic battle. One of the oldest ultra races out there, running from Squaw Valley up to Auburn. We're talking about 100.2 miles on foot, 18,000 plus feet of elevation and climbing, 22,000 feet of descent, which is really, really the brutal part of this race, and everything in between. We got local chiropractor and phenomenal runner, Scott Dubrul, coming on the show in just a little bit. Excited to have Scott back on the show. Had him before. I believe the last time we had Scott was when he was down in San Diego doing an ultra race down there. Again, Matt Smith out of Austin, Texas, movement specialist and chiropractor. We're going to be talking about some hip mobility, man. Pretty fun sessions the last couple of weeks. We started in the ankle and foot. We moved to the knee last week, and we're going to move right up the chain to the hip, and just hoping to give you guys, listeners, folks at home, people who are either dealing with symptomatology that may be in the hip, symptomatology that may be in a knee, ankle, or foot, starting to tie in some of those relations, and as well as our first time having Matt in on this show. We talked ankle and foot. We talked asymptomatic things. So we're taking a look at a functional test and saying, hey, I get it. You haven't had ankle trauma. You haven't had foot trauma. And you don't even have foot pain. You don't have ankle pain. You don't have calf pain, Achilles pain. Yet we may be able to do a functional test that suggests that we're not maximizing our potential mobility in that ankle, that foot, that knee. Today we'll talk hip. And that we might be able to do a few things to be able to prevent that. And that's what this show is all about right here on Living the Run, is taking a look at things and getting proactive, getting preventative, and getting things to be prevented on a much easier basis rather than wait until that reactionary mode where sometimes it's kind of tough. I listen to Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, some of you guys listen to him, Financial Freedom Radio. I think he's the third most listened to talk show host in the country, actually. And one of the things that he talks about all the time is financial freedom, and he talks about it through a preventative proactive model. And that's what? That's either saving or that's paying off debts and becoming debt-free. And the same thing here is we want to become medication-free. We want to become pharmaceutical-free because we understand that those compounds, those chemicals, oftentimes are just there to cover up issues that we may be having, symptoms on a lab test, symptoms with pain, but really they're not solving the cause of our problems. And the same thing goes is we just keep running up credit cards, as Dave Ramsey might say. Maybe we're paying some of our bills through those credit cards, but we're running up other bills on the other end. And this is what we're seeing right now, oftentimes in the allopathic way. And we're trying to say, hey, how do we kind of combine that Western and Eastern deal to be able to bring a grander performance out of all of us here in the United States in our health. Easier to do here on the Central Coast, I got to say. We live in paradise. From a food perspective, we are just so blessed to be able to get local, organic, brilliant foods growing in some pretty darn good soils, and excited about that. Hey, let me mention this too before we get to our guests in the show in just a few minutes. Pay attention this weekend as well. You got U.S. Nationals track and field up in Sacramento, and local hero here, two-time Olympian Sharon Day competing up there. All I saw was her numbers from the first two events today, and she was in the lead, top performer. She set that record, indoor record in the U.S. Man, that U.S. record had been for a long time, and she set that U.S. record in February, I believe that was this year. So pay attention to Sharon Day, another favorite. And it looked like Trey Hardy as well. Trey Hardy, little connection to San Luis Obispo, getting married to Chelsea Johnson, daughter of Jan and Jan E. Johnson. Jan Johnson, great Olympian. Chelsea, silver medalist in the World Championships in the pole vault. Also held the national record for a long time. Not sure if she still does that at UCLA in the pole vault, but fun stuff. Trey was blowing the doors off people in the deck as well. So they go day 2 tomorrow. So tune into that as well. We got Western States to talk. We got HEP and decathlon to talk. All good stuff. But let's talk this first. Who got the text message today? Interesting text message that went out there today. The old Civic Alert came through on all the cell phones. Emergency warning. I know you got to be sitting there. Some of you probably got a little bit of anxiety. You see something that says Civil Alert, prepare for action at 4:10 or 10 after 4. This reminds me of the good old days when I lived in Texas, the classic fear-driven message. And, it's rang all too true for me today. One of my favorite people I've met in the last year in this community, and I know so many of you know him, Pete Phillips, Mr. Phillips, teacher over there at Slow High School, have been there for years, and he was the one who turned me on to this acronym of FEAR. And, so many of these kids come into high school, so many of these kids thinking about going to college. He's around these high school students that have different anxieties, different fears, just like we all do. And he often talked to them about the acronym for FEAR, meaning false evidence assumed real. We've talked about it before on this show, but this was a classic case of this, false evidence assumed real, because apparently 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later or 15 minutes later, I don't know what it was, false alarm, and we get a new text message that says false alarm. But in that momentary time, when you just see the phrase that says Civic Alert, prepare for action, what'd you do? You kind of sitting there going, what does this mean? I mean, it's a fairly generic phrase, Civic Alert, and it probably has the chance to mean a lot of things. Of course, everybody's mind goes right out to Diablo, and it's kind of a first thought. But that whole prepare for action, and the reality is that we all got a text message that was false evidence, and by some of us, assumed real. And not sure just how darn real it was. But, we're going to talk to tremendous athlete Scott Dubrul in just a little bit here, talking about a 100-mile race. And with these races comes some anxiety. And Mr. Phillips, Pete Phillips is such a neat guy, took that acronym and shared with his students how to change that around to make it into a positive, and said, hey, let's change that FEAR into feeling excited and ready. And I think that that's good, because we can have that excitement feeling. We can have those butterflies. We can have that rumbling, that little bit of stress, but we can turn that stress into saying, hey, I am prepared. I am ready. And I think, as we'll hear from Scott, he's ready to take on that race. And super, super good stuff. As always on this show, we try to talk about different aspects of the mental, the physical, but kind of a shocker, I think, out there for a few people here in San Luis Obispo when we got that Civic Alert, prepare for action. Just not a lot of detail to it, and just enough to put that little bit of fear in our mind. And why? Because we didn't quite know how to get ready. And I think that that's one of the things that we see all the time in health is that we hear about the things that potentially we're supposed to do, but we're not quite sure how to prepare ourselves or how to get our body ready to get the maximum out of it, to achieve that health. We hear about it with sleep. How do I get myself prepared and ready to get that sound night of sleep? How do I get myself prepared and ready to have enough energy to last an entire game or an entire race? How do I get myself prepared and ready such that my muscles will be able to keep from pulling, keep from tearing, keep from being harmed, if you will? And so a big topic for us, and one that's kind of fun. Let me switch gears real quick. Again, Scott Dubrul, chiropractor and Ultrarunner, in just a second to talk Western States. always want to bring this to you guys from Art Cyclery at artcyclery.com. Great sponsor of Living the Run. They sponsor a segment called Blood Boiler. How did you get your blood to boil? I got to go back to Wednesday, and I got to give props out to three guys. Three of my favorite guys here on the Central Coast. It meant a lot to me, motivating me to work out, motivating me to get out there, and in so many ways look to be a better father, husband, and just person in life. And those guys, Chad Thule, my partner Sandy Sachs at Slow Wellness Center, as well as Corey Miller. All three of these guys, June 25th birthdays, and that was Wednesday. Fun day. And if you've been listening to the show at all over the last few years, you know that come birthday time is a time to get a good workout in, or like we say, a good chance to get the blood to boil. And Sandy picked a kind of an interesting one. We did a Navy SEAL workout this last week, and it made me think, for some of you guys listening in, it's so easy to come up with reasons and excuses why we can't get our workout in. We don't have the equipment. We don't have the time to go to the gym, what have you. But this Navy SEAL workout brought me back to junior high PE, if you will. And, it wasn't really a Navy SEAL workout from being in trying to qualify to actually be a Navy SEAL, but rather just part of the application process says, hey, look, if you can't do these things, don't even apply. Don't even bother sending us any information. You're not coming in. And so we did part of them. We weren't able to do the swim portion of it, but we did air squats. We did pull-ups. We did push-ups. We did sit-ups, and we had a 2-mile run. The pull-ups was interesting because it was just a maximum. And we kind of discussed, are you allowed to kip? Do you have to go all the way down? How does that whole thing work? And I know there's some variance there. But the other three, the squats, the push-ups, the air squats, the push-ups, and the sit-ups were a timed event, 2 minutes. And so this may be one for you guys to do this weekend, even maybe tonight if you haven't gotten the blood to boil today. And that would be to say, for 2 minutes, how many push-ups can you get? How many air squats can you get for 2 minutes? And how many just straight sit-ups can you get? You don't lock your legs under anything, feet under anything. It's just knees bent, hands behind the head. And how many sit-ups can you do in 2 minutes? And there was bare minimums for them. And then, of course, if you got over the bare minimum, you got extra points for how many you got over and so forth. And then there was a 2-mile run at the end that you had to, again, the same thing. You drop under a time, I believe 14 minutes, and everything under the 14 minutes is extra gravy, and you move up the scale along the point chart. But, man, what a lot of fun. And again, no equipment required, didn't take an inordinate amount of time. Everybody can do it. And the reality is, guys, if you can't do some of these minimums, you go look these up. Maybe that's a goal. We talk about it all the time on this show is that get something on the calendar, get some sort of a goal going for yourself. And if you have that, you're more likely to stay consistent and you're more likely to see the results and the changes in your human performance and human system that you really want. A lot of fun out there. I got to say thanks to those three guys, again, for that happy birthday workout. A wonderful chance to get the blood to boil. Guys, we're looking at just about half past after 6 o'clock right now. We got Scott Dubrul, Ultrarunner, chiropractor, and I can say friend right here. You're listening to Living the Run.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Terrick from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from leftlanesports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, leftlanesports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit leftlanesports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. leftlanesports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Art Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
Did you know that many people endure aches and pains in their feet, legs, and back, but few recognize the solution for some of the more common causes are as simple as a more supportive and comfortable insole? At Cadence Insoles, we understand the insole in your shoe provides the first line of support and comfort for your feet. Designed by physical therapists and recommended by podiatrists, Cadence insoles provide the elusive combination of orthotic support with the shock-absorbing comfort of an insole. A local business? Visit cadenceinsoles.com for more information. Cadence Insoles. Support made comfortable.
We're back with Living the Run.
Live the Run brought to you by Left Lane Sport. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve. Check them out, guys. leftlanesports.com. Rex Stevens in on a Friday, our first Friday ever. And it's been a little bit of fun. Olympian Paul Tera out. And let me tell you, guys, we're talking Western States 100. You're going to want to pay attention to this. Excited about my next guest coming on the show. You know, you may know him as your chiropractor. If he is, you are one lucky patient. We also know him as Ultrarunner, and like I said, I can call him friend. Hey, Scott, you know, I trying to get Tera through. You know, some of you guys going. I thought he was going to have you last week. Thanks for coming on. You know, Tera, as well as other athletes, and we talked about this at the beginning of the show, is there's some element of anxiety and stress that comes anytime before getting into a competition. We try to make that acronym for fear, if you will, meaning feeling excited and ready rather than paralyzed by it. Tell me this, man, on a scale of 1 to 10, your anxiety level.
It's pretty low. I'd give it like a 3 to 3, and then it'll pop up to a 5 at times. I love that. I hadn't heard that acronym. That's a great acronym that I can hold. Because I feel real excited about this one. It's the second time I've done it, and I have a goal of under 24 hours. Sure, that's my goal. I get it. You know, but my main thing this time around, man, I've just been soaking it all in, and I'm going to do that all day tomorrow. Soak it all in. Soak the course. Just do the best I can, and see what the day comes. You know.
Hey, what's the, for those that don't know this race, you know, the Western States 100, I kind of refer to it as the Super Bowl of all ultra runs, you know, one of the oldest ones out there, 100.2 miles, the 18,000 feet up, but the 22,000 feet of descent, definitely more the difficult one. What'd you do to practice for that descent that so oftentimes beats up those legs?
I just, on many other occasions when I was training, I would run extra hard downhill. I ran harder than I would that I'll run tomorrow. So running 20, 30 miles, you know, you can pound the downhills pretty hard and know that you're not going to keel over. But I remember distinctly last time on this one, someone had told me, dude, you got to relax in these downhills because there's way too many of them that'll fry your quads. And it did.
And it did. Hey, talking to Scott Dubrul, chiropractor and Ultrarunner, right here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. Hey, Scott, you know, I've talked to multiple marathoners. They all basically say the same thing, that in the first 10 miles, if you're feeling it at all, meaning, hey, I'm hurting, it means you are in a ton of trouble. Is there a mile marker in the ultras that you say yourself personally, hey, I'd like to get here and still be feeling pretty relaxed, but if I get here and I'm starting to hurt a little bit, that's okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think in this distance of a race, which I've only done, this is my fourth, so I haven't done a ton of them, but, if I can get to that 100K distance and still feel decent, I mean, and decent's relative on that one. It's, I'm still going to be hurting, but decent enough where I can still kind of go and just continue to actually run and cruise a bit versus just walk as fast as I can,
No question. What do you have going? I know that you guys have in these races, there's sometimes pacers or different people at different spots. There's oftentimes a ton of loneliness out there. What do you have as your strategy? Do you have anybody out there pacing you this time? And if so, what miles did you choose?
Yeah, it's Eric Dube, Tera's husband, is pacing me, and he's actually pacing me from Forest Hill, which is 62 miles, and he's taking me the entire way home. So I'll have him for 38 miles with them, which I'm stoked on.
Absolutely brilliant. From a psychological perspective, how much time do you guys spend discussing strategy for yourself when you start to suffer? Much like, it takes me back, and as you know this, when your wife was in labor, you practice some things going forward, saying, hey, look, what are some of the strategies we might be able to do to get you through this? How much of that kind of stuff do you guys discuss, or you just more let it innately fly?
Well, with the great thing is with Eric, he's just solid. He paced me the first time here, and he just knew exactly what, he had kept his eye on me the whole time, was at aid stations with me, kind of giving me what I needed. So this time around, he knows my time goal. He knows what it takes to run that time here because he's done it a couple times. And so it's like, we didn't talk too much about the strategy, except he'll know exactly what he needs to do because he's really good at it.
Again, talking to Scott Dubrul, chiropractor, Ultrarunner, here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket on Living the Run. Hey, Scott, one of the things we've talked about on this show a lot is his community. We see it all the time. It's one of the big things CrossFit has gotten across to its people and why it has such a following. Talk about what, you said you're soaking it in. What are you soaking in among the community there, and what makes the Ultrarunner community so special?
I think probably the biggest thing in the ultra running community that I never found in the triathlon community or even the marathon, 10K, all that, is that there's definitely a dividing line between the really good athletes and runners in the ultra world and what I call the modern, or not modern, what would I call it? Just a normal, regular guy like me. Is that you should have a conversation with a guy who's won this thing 10 times, and he's just talking to you with the same kind of, nose up in the air, that kind of stuff. There's really not much of that out here.
It sounds refreshing.
Not to put other sports, not to put the triathlon sports on, all that stuff, but it definitely was different than it is when you're out here just all suffering together. So
sounds refreshing. Hey, does anybody wear the belt buckles? I mean, if you get the belt buckle, is that like, do people wear them? I mean, are people wearing them there right now?
You know what? I didn't see anybody wearing them here. Most of us are walking around in shorts and stuff, but I think some people do wear them. In fact, I know some people I've seen wearing them on occasion. So I personally have not worn it. It just sits up on a plaque in the office.
Yeah, it's an interesting trophy, one none like too many others.
Right.
You just always wondered, is it one that sits up with the trophy case, or is this one that goes through the belt loops and actually gets donned on occasion?
Yeah, we finished the year that we did Tahoe Rim Trail. I remember we had all of us who did it, Thomas and Eric, and there was a bunch of folks who did the 50 mile. We all had a big barbecue. I came walking in, I'm just wearing whatever I'm normally wearing, and both Eric and Thomas are wearing theirs, and Thomas is like, dude, where's your buckle? And I said, it hadn't even occurred to me to put that thing on a belt. So
Geez, unbelievable. Hey, Scott, thanks a ton for coming on, man. Do great. Race starts at 5 o'clock. How do people tune in to be able to follow you? I know so many local people that know you, love to follow you. And, of course, you're talking about a 24-hour race. We've got many moments to check in. WesternStates100.com, right? How do you get on to the live follow?
The live follow, it's actually, you can Google Western States 100, and the website, I think, is wser.org. And with that website, it'll show you, how to, I think there's a little banner up there that says follow runners, and you can just type the runner's name in, or if you know their bib number, you can type that in too.
Perfect, man. Well, way to keep the positive up, feeling excited and ready. We know you're ready to roll. Bring it home under 24 hours, my friend.
I will do my absolute best, and I will look forward to talking to you all on the flip side. And
on the flip side of 24 hours, we'll hit you up next week and get you in studio to show us that actual belt buckle.
That sounds like a plan.
Good stuff, Scott.
Good, brother. Thank you.
Good stuff from Scott Dubrul. Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. The one thing I'm going to have to disagree with Scott on is that he's a normal guy. Normal people, I think you could make the argument, don't want to go run 100 miles. Don't want to try to run 100 miles under 24 hours. And don't want to run 100 miles while climbing 18,000 feet and coming down 22,000 feet. That's what makes Scott special and all the other ones there. But, he hits it right on the head, and I think that we can continue to do better. I've talked about this before. What's made me get so excited about my sons playing hockey is that the hockey community feels networked deeply and entrenched in something bigger than just wins and losses and something bigger than just trophies. It sounds like the same things happen there in the ultra race. Guys, you got to follow along. WSER.org, or just type in Western States 100 to Google. Follow along. Couple people, Tera, Dube from Runner's Warehouse. Excellent female athlete. Scott Dubrul, two fun people in this community to follow along and support, and just throw those well wishes out there, throw those prayers, throw that energy out to those guys. There's going to be times that they need it. I love Scott saying, well, I'm hoping not to suffer too much, at least through the first 100K. 60 miles, guys. 60 miles on his feet, and he's hoping to feel pretty fresh with 40 to go. So kind of a neat thing. Props to you, Mr. Eric Dube, as well, for getting out there with Scott, putting in 40. He's going to put in 40 himself, bringing Scott along through, and physical and mental support. Good stuff. Guys, Matt Smith on the flip side here on Living the Run. 44 after the hour right here on ESPN 1280, The Ticket.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280, The Ticket.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff put your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
Hey guys, Paul Tera from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from leftlanesports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, leftlanesports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit leftlanesports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. Leftlanesports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Arts Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
We're back with Living the Run. You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Tera from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from leftlanesports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, leftlanesports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit leftlanesports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. leftlanesports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Arts Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
Did you know that many people endure aches and pains in their feet, legs, and back, but few recognize the solution for some of the more common causes are as simple as a more supportive and comfortable insole? At Cadence Insoles, we understand the insole in your shoe provides the first line of support and comfort for your feet. Designed by physical therapists and recommended by podiatrists, Cadence insoles provide the elusive combination of orthotic support with the shock-absorbing comfort of an insole. a local business, visit cadenceInsoles.com for more information. Cadence Insoles, support made comfortable.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, let's try this again, guys. Technical difficulties, I tell you, No Max Woodcock. These things happen. Matt Smith, you there on the line out in Austin, Texas?
Check 1, 2. I'm here.
Oh, boy. It's like, line drops 2-3 times. Next thing you know, commercials start in the middle, in mid-sentence. Sometimes
You just can't trust this technology, man.
Sometimes you can't trust technology, just like sometimes, hey, that's a perfect lead-in, isn't it? Sometimes you can't trust that you're mechanically doing the right thing in your lower body just because you don't have symptoms. Oh,
great segue.
Boy, that segue was pitiful. Hey, I tell you, it's been been a lot of fun chatting with you, man, talking ankle mobility, knee mobility. Again, if any of you guys missed this, check us out, facebook.com/livingtherun. You can pick up those podcasts. But, it's funny, Matt. I wanted to start here, and I don't know how funny actually it is. It seems like I've been seeing MRIs coming back like hotcakes with full-thickness labral tears in the hip, almost always coming in non-traumatic ways. People getting impingement syndromes in the hip. We're getting the full thickness tears, but again, non-trauma based. You talked last week about non-trauma based ACL tears as well. What is going on in the world of the hip?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as labral tears in the hip are concerned, there can be a couple different things involved, and it kind of depends on the demographic and the age group. Whether it's young females, if they're tearing labrums, typically it's a congenital thing or something that they're born with. That as they develop in sport, they start to really wear and tear on their labrum just from the way that their hip is shaped. So that's something that we can't really control. But in reality, when we look at MRIs, if we're talking an age group, a demographic of it, like older people, so people in their 30s and 40s, especially the female group. We find that a lot in runners. And, once you get above the age of 30 or 40, everybody's got some sort of labral wear and tear, right? But, those chronic tears that we start looking at, you can develop that stuff over time there's really a slew of things that can cause this. But when we start looking at ways that we can control this in the clinic or stuff that you can kind of do on your own to really prevent this stuff from happening, real degeneration of the hip, labral tears, chronic labral tears, or, just tendinitis in and around the hip. Basically what we look at is core stability. Basically your body's ability to stabilize your hip complex as well as your low back, or what's known as your lumbopelvic region. Basically, I was just checking out a study the other day and looked at young athletes and the injury prevalence to the lower body of a young athlete, and they took groups of these young athletes and just checked at how strong their cores were. And they did a bunch of different tests for this. But essentially, there was a direct correlation between the lower body injuries of young athletes and an unstable core. And basically what it came down to was external rotation strength of the leg, or their ability to wind up their hip and tighten that region up and stabilize, led to an increase. If they couldn't do that, it led to an increased probability of injury in their age group. So pretty interesting stuff. A lot of the stuff that we do in the clinic is go through core stabilization stuff and mobilization of the hip. Couple really important things that if you're going to be, really going through rigorous activity, whether you're a high-level runner or an endurance athlete or really an athlete of any kind, it's super important to make sure that you can stabilize your lumbopelvic region or just have really true core stability before you start doing anything.
Hey, a couple simple ways. Again, Matt Smith, chiropractor out in Austin, Texas. A couple simple ways, Matt, people can begin to assess some of that hip mobility on their own, whether they've got tools like foam rollers, lacrosse balls, or even just standing position squats. What should they be looking for side to side, front to back, to get an assessment of whether potentially they're exactly what you just said, that lumbopelvic region may not be firing the way it should, leaving them susceptible to hip wear and tear.
Well, yeah, one of the things that we'll do, we do a couple of things. If we're looking at core stability, we do what's called a rotational core bridge. And so basically we'll have people go up into a bridge with their pelvis. So they're laying on their back. They tuck their feet up, and they drive their butt off the table, basically. So they go up with two legs. They go up with two legs, and then they hang on 1 second.
It's the classic gymnastics.
You with me?
Yeah, the classic gymnastics pose, if you will, right? You know, where they're the kids, you see them all bridging back, and they got that nice rainbow arch going because their flexibility's good.
Yeah, sorry about that, Rex. I'm getting hassled mid sentence outside of this hop dotty trying to go through. But
hey, look, man, we only dropped you 3 times on the call there, and then went to commercials in the middle. So I think only fair that you give us a little harassment on the other end.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. But you know, getting back to what I was talking about, they do a 2-leg bridge. So they lift their pelvis off the table, and then they pick up one leg. And ideally, we want to be able to stabilize the pelvis when we're on one leg. Okay, so we look for the pelvis to drop a little bit when we do that, or have a hitch. And really, patients can feel that on their own. They can feel weakness. So the test that you can do on your own, if you're listening, is do that pelvic bridge. So lift your butt off the table, pick up one leg, and do you feel less steady on one leg or the other? Do you feel stronger on one leg or the other? That's a really good way to assess how well your body can stabilize your pelvis and low back while on one leg. And another test that we do, just for really basic hip mobility, is a straight leg raise. So we'll have a patient lay on their back, keeping their legs straight. They just lift one leg as high as they can off the ground and see if they can get up to about 90 degrees. Okay, so keeping that leg straight, can you bring your leg all the way up pretty much so that your foot is steady right above your pelvis? That's about the range of motion that you should have just naturally. That's a really healthy range of motion, being able to get that leg all the way up so your foot is over the top of your pelvis while keeping that knee locked out. If that's reduced on both sides, it's a little bit better than having more mobility on one side or the other. That suggests that we have asymmetrical patterning in that hip complex, and that's how we start getting some real wear and tear and overcompensation throughout that region. So those are definitely things to look at on your own.
Big stuff, man. I love that stuff. Very, very functional stuff. I know that the listeners can visualize that. Such easy stuff to do at home. Man, whoever's harassing you, go harass them back. We'll look to come back with you next week, and we'll start talking some spine stuff next week and how to get that assessed as well. Thanks, Matt.
Hey, that sounds great, man. Thank you for having me on, as always.
All right, have a ton of fun. Hey, good stuff from Matt Smith. Sorry about a few of the hiccups today here on Living the Run. But, let's just get to the point. Forget the hiccups. These are a couple of very, very basic tests. And let me tell you something. We come on Living the Run, and we're here to suggest that there are lifestyle, simple changes one can make. Again, we get way over the top and way stressed about finances, time, and will it work? And, I'm telling you, so much of this is so fundamental and so simple. And he just gave you one right off the bat. He gave you 2 right off the bat. One is just lay on your back. And one of the things that we've said this all along is go to somebody in, chiropractic office, physical therapist office, somebody who is good with joint mobility, movement specialist, and that can watch you do this and give you that sense if what you're doing is symmetrical and if what you're doing is complete through range of motion in whatever direction you're looking at. But this is a very simple thing you can do at home is you lay on your back, knees up, feet on the floor, and you look to bridge the pelvis. Again, you're not trying to ram the pelvis through the ceiling. You're not trying to get as high as you can, and you're not trying to go extremely fast. You're just trying to bring the pelvis up off of the floor so that it is elevated such that you can then move to one leg, lift that leg out straight, and get a sense of how your pelvis stays or doesn't stay stable when you go to the one leg. And then get a sense of what happens when you move to the other leg. And Matt hit it right on the head, and we see this all the time, is that there tends to be an asymmetrical pattern beginning to form, which causes all kinds of dilemmas for people. And this is where you get the person who's had zero trauma. They're 50 years old. They walk in the door and they say, I woke up and it feels like my hip hurts. Or for the last 3 months, when I'm laying in bed in the morning time, I got hip pain. When I start to move a little bit, it seems to feel better, but it just feels really stiff. And then you go and you look at the x-ray, and what do you see? Degeneration up the wazoo, arthritis everywhere, and they can't figure it out. Why do I have arthritis on my left hip? Why is it not on the right? I've had no traumas. I've got no surgeries, no fractures, no dislocations, no motor vehicle accidents. Yet I've got degenerative arthritis in a hip. I wasn't an athlete. I didn't have a repetitive motion sport. Where is it coming from? It's coming from an asymmetrical pattern, non-symptomatic over the years, that could easily have been assessed if you just went to a movement specialist, did these simple tests, and found where your asymmetrical pattern was, changed the pattern, maximize the biomechanics, even the stressors, you don't run into a problem. Don't forget, guys, here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket, Dodgers game is next. And don't forget, too, the CJ Silas show each and every week. We usually come on before her. And I got to say this to CJ real quick. She says she's feeling excited and ready. The great FEAR acronym, if you so want. And I know CJ has tried to hide this because she doesn't want you all out there, but I think secretly she does. Get down to Santa Maria and watch CJ this weekend in this triathlon she's been preparing for. Support her as she supports you in this community with her radio show and all that she does for Cal Poly Athletics and more. CJ Silas, feeling excited and ready. Don't forget Dodgers in just a few minutes right here on ESPN. So, guys, simple test. The other one Matt Smith was talking about was a simple single leg raise. And, most of you know this as the hamstring stretch. And how many people do I see regularly come through? They all say the same thing. I had tight hamstrings. My hammies are like guitar strings. Stiff as a board. Been stretching these things for 20 years. They don't get any better. Look, the single leg raise, very simple. Matt described it great. You're laying there, straight leg comes up. Should be able to get the foot, the flat foot, bottom of the flat foot should be right over the top of the hip. If you can't do that, we know we've lost some hip mobility. Some hip flexion, if you will. If you can't do it evenly, though, so I take my right leg, I bring it up, boom, it's right there, foot is over the hip. I bring my left leg up, it only gets 45 degrees or halfway there. I notice the left hamstring tighter than the right. What does that suggest? It suggests an asymmetrical pattern, and you know what it suggests, and all the research is all over this, guys. This is not new stuff. You go to any of the orthopedic journals, it's sitting right there. It suggests stay away from weight-bearing activity until what? Until you get the biomechanics restored. As soon as the biomechanics are restored, mobility increased, adhesions decreased, fascia loosened up, joint back into position, manipulated back in position, and now ready for action. That's when we come back with the resistance. But until that point, don't do it. You're just going to wear it out faster, and you're going to be wondering why in the heck you've got early degenerative arthritis in one joint, like a hip, but not the other. Classic stuff. Hey, thanks for joining us here on Living the Run. Great show. Thanks to my guest, Ultrarunner Scott Dubrul, and local chiropractor here. Follow them, the Western States Run, guys, WSER.org. Of course, to Matt Smith, chiropractor movement specialist out in Austin, Texas. Thanks so much to you as well. And check them out, usatrack.org. Sharon Day putting up some big numbers. Got day 2 of the heptathlon tomorrow. Folks, live healthy, live bold. Each and every day, maximize that life and live the run.